in the desert. And I love the way that the Bible talks about this, because it's always like those whiny Israelites just wouldn't fucking appreciate God and how much he had done for them. And they were like, we want water, we want food, we want different food, because they were whiny babies. And God was so benevolent and kept taking care of them. Let's just put this in perspective for a second. These people not only had intense trauma from being enslaved for generations, then they just went through like the most fucking bonkers 2 weeks of their lives, had to flee their homes in the middle of the night, and they're doing all of this following this one fucking dude who is technically one of them by blood, but culturally he's not one of them. They don't know this guy. He just has a magic stick and does tricks, and apparently is the only fucking person on the planet who can talk to God. You know, the God that's doing all of the murdering? Like, that's just gotta be a real mind fuck. So the way I see it, they were wandering around the desert like, hey, buddy, sorry to bother you. We're just like feeling a little thirsty. And God's like, oh my God, fine. Here, Moses, tap your stick on this rock. Look, now there's drinking water. Are you happy now? And then, you know, some time goes on and they're like, hey, Moses, really sorry to bother you and your big scary God again. But we're like getting a little snacky. We ran out of crackers a while ago. And God's like, oh my God, Moses, this is exhausting. Tell them that I'll like make bread rain from the sky. So they eat bread for a while and then they're like, okay, here's the thing. If you haven't already said it, you're gonna say it later, but man cannot live on bread alone. Okay, this is ridiculous. I haven't pooped in 4 days. Do you think we could maybe get some protein? And God's like, you guys are like obsessed with me. There's some like pheasants or quail or something. I'm gonna make them magically appear once a day. You can only take as much as you need though. If you try and hoard any of it for midnight snack or anything, guess what? Not a fan of that. It will rot and be covered with maggots. So don't do that. I want you to depend on me for literally everything, because I'm kind of a tool. Love you, kisses, bye. So they wander in the desert some more, but they have the hope of the promised land. There's like a magic homeland waiting for them, and they just haven't gotten there yet. So after some wandering, they get to this mountain. It's called Mount Sinai. And God tells Moses, I'm like exhausted from all of that. That really tapped me out. Let's just go like on a little retreat, just you and I. We'll go up this mountain, just the two of us. Like if anyone even gets near the mountain, I will literally strike them dead. So Moses goes to the top of Mount Sinai. He's gone for 40 days and 40 nights. It's a long ass time. And Moses and God are just like, I don't know, frolicking on the top of the mountain. Moses is like, can I see your face? And God's like, no, you can't see my face. It'll like burn you alive. And Moses is like, why don't you just make it so that it doesn't do that? And God's like, that sounds really hard. How about I just like walk by you instead? And you can just like look at me as I'm going. And Moses is like, oh my God, I get to see your butt? And God's like, you get to see my butt. No, literally, that's in the Bible. Like I'm not even making that up. God's really gay. It's honestly like his only good quality. But anyway, while they're on the mountaintop, God's like, I'm gonna give you a bunch of rules. Here are the 10 most important rules. I'm gonna literally write them in stone so you never forget them. There's also like hundreds of other rules that I feel really strongly about too, but I'm gonna give those to you like verbally because that's like too much stone to carry, right? Oh my God, yeah, that'd be like so heavy. So Moses comes down from the mountain just like so refreshed. And he's like, hey guys, what have you guys been up to while I was gone? Yeah, okay, sorry, bro. You know how there's like other gods? I know we're like not supposed to talk about it, but yeah, the Israelites, they kind of like found this little gold baby cow statue and decided to start worshiping that instead. I think they just really felt like they needed something substantial to hold on to and look at and touch, you know, instead of just like playing this elaborate telephone game with you. Anyway, so that's what's been happening. Sorry, don't be mad. And God's like, you cheated on me after I specifically asked you not to in the rules that none of you have read yet because I only just wrote them and gave them to this one guy that's supposed to just distribute them to 2 million people. And they're like, fuck, sorry. You were gone a really long time, dude. And God's like, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. I'm a super chill God. So I'm just gonna punish you a tiny bit. You know that promised land I was talking about? You guys are actually never gonna get to see it. You're gonna wander out here until every last one of you motherfuckers die. And then like maybe a generation or two later, maybe they'll get to see it. Maybe if I feel like it. And Moses is like, fuck, sorry guys, you heard the man. And they're like, no, we didn't. Literally none of us can hear him. Only you can. It's kind of starting to get suspicious. This will come as a shock to no one, but God actually had a really specific vision of how he wanted to be worshiped. And Moses is like, God gave me these rocks with these rules on them, and we need to make like the most decadent fucking museum for the rocks. Oh, yeah, for sure. Can we look at them? Oh, no, absolutely not. Only I'm allowed to, and like one or two other people are allowed to like look over my shoulder while I'm looking at them. You're just gonna have to like take my word for it, like with everything else. You guys should be used to this by now. And these are the things you must take: gold and silver and brass, violet and purple and scarlet twice dyed, and fine linen and goat's hair and ram's skin dyed red, and violet skins and acacia wood, oil to make lights, spices for ointment and for sweet smelling incense, onyx stones and precious stones to adorn the ephod and the rationale. And they shall make me a sanctuary, and I will dwell in the midst of them. Sounds like a goddamn Dr. Seuss poem. Where the fuck are they gonna find all that shit? They're in the middle of the goddamn desert, you fucking loon. They had to twist your arm just to get like some chicken. What's an ephod? Anyway, literally like the rest of the book is just an excruciatingly detailed wish list for God's man cave for his fucking favorite rocks. Tell me I'm wrong. Just cubits for days, honestly. And don't worry, it gets worse. There's also fancy outfits that all of the people have to wear if they're allowed to get near it. Yeah, he's also like obsessed with sacrifices. Sacrifices for days. This fucking God demands so many animals be slaughtered and then lit on fire as a present to him. It's just like rude is what it is. Honestly, I'm just gonna say it, it's kind of needy. Like, wow, someone needs a lot of attention. Anyway, we don't remotely have time to get into all of the rules. There's like so many. But there's one that is relevant and half the reason I wore this shirt today. Exodus 21:22. If men quarrel and one strike a woman with child and she miscarry, but live herself, he shall be answerable for so much damage as the woman's husband shall require. But if her death ensue upon, he shall render life for life. Rabbis figured this out literally thousands of years ago. They saw this and they were like, clearly that means that the fetus is pretty much like property. So if two men are fighting, they bump into a pregnant lady, she loses the baby, the person responsible, he has to pay a fine as if it was damage to property. And we know this because the next fucking sentence says, but if the woman is killed, then the man responsible for her death must be put to death. Ipso facto, I don't know if I'm using that right, the woman's life is worth more than the unborn fucking baby's life. Why is this so fucking complicated for you fucking idiots to fucking understand? Oh my God. The most bonkers part is that you're using our own fucking book as a reason. That makes no sense. You've never even read it. Seriously. Evangelicals don't read their goddamn Bible. It's so annoying. If you're gonna like make it your whole personality, at least read it. You know what I mean? Anyway, the world's on fire. I hate it here. So Moses just lived out his days in his fancy tent, hanging out with God, who at this point was like his BFF. After he would hang out with God, though, he would get radiation poisoning and his face would literally glow in the dark. And all the Israelites were like, dude, that is fucking alarming. Do something about that. And Moses was like, oh shit, my bad, I'm glowing. That is really bizarre. And had to wear a veil for the rest of his life. Anyway, the last story we hear about Moses This is another one that didn't make it into the movie. The Israelites have like settled, right? It's not the promised land, but it's like the okay land. And they're starting to get like really snobby about other people nearby worshiping other gods. Moses is like, hey, armies, you know who I've always felt like committing genocide against? The Midianites. They are idol worshippers. Go slaughter them all, please. Thank you. If that name sounds familiar, it fucking should. That's where Moses fled. Jethro Tull gave him his daughter, gave him sheep to herd. That's where he saw the burning bush. That's where this whole fucking debacle started, right? So the Israelites go and commit genocide. But they come back and Moses is like, wait a minute, you only killed all the men. That's not enough murder. You left all the women and children. Go back and kill them. And the Israelites are like, oh shit, my bad. We just assumed you didn't want to kill the women and children? And Moses is like, oh wait, no, you are right though. Yeah, that's what we thought. Yeah, no, not for the reasons you think. If you could just go grab all of the virgins, which in this culture means children, bring them back because we can use them for sexual slavery. I mean, we're not going to call it that. We're going to call it the Israelites married the Midianite virgins. That sounds much better. Can you imagine if we just put that in the Bible? I mean, not that anyone's going to read it anyway, but like, that'd be crazy. Anyway, yeah, bring them back. We'll just use them as baby making factories, but then kill the other women and children. God said so. And God's like, yeah, I agree with all of this. Loot the fuck out of them. Love a good looting. But leave one teeny tiny little percent, like 0.2% to me. Cows, their sheep, their goats, whatever. And then remember how there was a bunch of virgins that I told you to save for sexual slavery? I want a tiny percent of them too. And Moses is like, oh my God, are you gonna, oh my God, no, I can't. I mean, no one knows. No, it's not for that. I want you to kill them. Hang on, I'm gonna find it. Because I feel like you don't believe me. Numbers 31:40. Out of the 16,000 persons, there fell to the portion of the Lord 32 souls. 32 human souls murdered and then lit on fire. Hopefully in that order. Remember, a virgin in that time period was a child. A baby, if you will. 32 of them burned to death as a present to God. And don't forget, these were the Midianites, the people who gave Moses refuge. His wife was a Midianite. His children were half Midianite. 32. Not to mention the first wave of babies killed by Pharaoh, all of the Egyptians who died during the 10 plagues, not to mention all of the firstborn children in Egypt who died, not to mention God intervened and made the Pharaoh impossible to redeem and then punishes him for being irredeemable. I can't get over that one. That one fucks me up. For Christians that do believe in a literal eternal lake of fire, damnation, hell, that means that Pharaoh went to hell for something that God literally made him do. That's so fucked up. Not to mention all of the Amalekites who died. That was like another huge war that Moses and the Israelites did. Didn't even have time to get into that. The point is, there's just like a lot of murder and war and genocide in the Bible. Like a lot. So once again, I say, there's no definitive proof that God loves doing it, but he sure is really good at it. For anyone thinking, that was so long ago, that was like the God of the Old Testament, I just want to remind y'all, God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. That's all I got. See you next time.